So guys, what I want to do here, I want to kind of show you a couple of problems so that we can, excuse me, we can have a better understanding of how do we show when two triangles are congruent. So this is number 7 out of 12.1, and it says, name two congruent triangles in the figure to the right and tell why they are congruent. Okay, so there's a couple of pieces of information that we already know. We know that side AB is congruent to side CB. We also know that side AD is congruent to side CD. And we know that side BD is congruent to itself, right? So when we're going to talk about these two triangles, we might say triangle, we might say something like triangle ABD is congruent to triangle. I'm going to do the same sort of like format, following the same type of a pattern. CBD, right? And why? Because we looked at each of the sides. So this would be side, 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 okay? So let me come over to this next one, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth, but I have a couple of problems I want us to go through here. And on this problem, I went ahead and I filled in the answers so that we could kind of get an idea. So it says, given, this is number 5 out of 12.2. It says, given triangle ABC, so notice how they're writing it, ABC, right? And then, so then we would have to say DEC with congruent parts it marked. What else is needed to show congruence? So in order for us to show that these two triangles are going to be congruent, so right now we know that we have a couple of pairs of angles that are congruent. And then, so notice, look what it's telling me in this first part here. It says, well, if we knew that AB would have to be congruent to which side? DE. Then we could say angle, side, angle, right? And it says alternatively to use angle, angle, side. So if I wanted to use angle, angle, side, let's think about what we'd be looking at now. We would want to go angle, angle, then I would be looking at this side here. So it says either of the conditions, or actually we could look at a different side too. We could say angle, angle, and then this side. So it'd say this side BC would have to be congruent to this side ED, or we could say AC is going to be congruent to DC, okay? And so I'm going to do the same thing over here. This is another one, and it says, this is number 2. This is also out of 12.2. And it says, determine whether the triangles are congruent, and if so, name the postulate or theorem that justifies our answer. Okay, so we have our two triangles, say ADB and DBC. Okay, let's think about them like that. So do we know any angles that are congruent? Right, this angle is congruent, and then wouldn't this angle here also be 90 degrees? So we would have angle, side, angle, right? So I could pick choice A. And then let me generate another picture. Okay, so then this is, all I did is I just hit similar question on that same problem. Okay, I hit the little similar question feature because the pictures are going to change a little bit, okay? So when I look at this one here, looking at the picture, yes, they look the same. But the only thing we have knowing that they're the same are the angles. In this picture, there's nothing that tells me that this distance here is congruent to that distance there. So that's why we would have to say they're not necessarily congruent. There's not enough information that's provided. Let's see. I know I have another one here. Let me see if I can come back and find it for you guys. Here we go. Same thing here. Let's see. So what do we know? I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this picture so I can see it a little bit better. There we go. Okay. So far, what do we know? We know this angle is congruent to this angle, and this angle is congruent to that angle. There's nothing that tells me that this distance here is the same as that distance there. So for this particular problem, we would have to say that, again, the triangle, the triangles are not necessarily congruent, okay? So I hope that provides a little bit more information. Guys, if y'all have any questions, please